blankets if you need to. Let yourself be mindful. Getting comfortable for your hips. If you're in your chair, make sure you've got your feet underneath your knees there and your feet are parallel. And if you're on the floor, just let your legs do what feels good for your hips so that you can sit up nice and tall and enjoy as you gently close your eyes, just watching your breath coming in and going out through your nose. Feeling your breath coming into your belly. Next exhale, release your hands on out beside you. So if you're on the floor, you can lightly touch the ground with your fingertips. And let's inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And exhale, bring the hands right down through the midline to be in front of our hearts. And here, lift your elbows up a little bit. Feel your hands more firmly coming together. Just feel the wrists a little bit more. And then send the elbows down. Let the hands rise up and draw your forearms a little closer towards each other. And then exhale, bring the hands back in front of your chest and lift your elbows up again. So as you inhale, drop the elbows, rise the hands. And as you exhale, lower the hands and lift the elbows at the end there. So another couple of times. Inhaling the hands up, forearms towards each other. And exhale, bringing them back down, elbows up. And then one more time. Inhaling the hands up, forearms towards each other. And exhale, bringing the hands down, lifting the elbows up. Good. And now let yourself separate your hands and let just the tips of your middle fingers touch each other. Like you have your hands on a shelf there, right? Let your shoulders soften down a little bit. And then as you inhale, come into letting your hands come up towards the ceiling and your palms face each other and your arms are bent like to a 90-degree angle, right? So then from here, let yourself just start to twist one way. It doesn't matter which way, just a little tiny bit. And then go to the other side, all right? So just start to let yourself very easily come into these little twists. Every time you inhale or exhale, you're going to move into those little twists. And they're not deep twists. They're just little. Feel your sit bones in the floor. See if you can feel your feet in the floor. And then finish the one you're on. Come on back to center. Release your arms on down beside you here now. And then let your arms come forward and up a little bit overhead so you come into a big circle. And it depends on you how far back you move with your arms. Be really mindful. And once the hands are down, we'll reverse that circle and reach backwards first if you can. And then up and over the top. And let the arms come on forward and down. Good. And from here, just shake your hands out just a little bit. And let's come into crossing. If you're on the floor, stretch your left leg out and cross your right ankle either above or below your knee if you can. And if that's too much, keep the foot to the inside if you have to of the leg. And come on forward just a bit. You can put your hand on your foot. You can press your foot into your hand a little bit. If your foot's freezing cold, which I can't imagine that it's not, you can kind of warm it up a little bit if you want to. You can even massage a little bit if you want. Kind of rub your foot around and hug your toes a little bit. Good. And one more breath here. And then rise on back up. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, go ahead and twist to your right, bringing yourself all the way around. And let your left hand come wherever's comfortable, maybe to your knee, maybe your shin. Lengthen up through the top of your head. And you can look as far as you want behind yourself. You can look more to the wall beside you, or you can turn a little farther if you want to look backwards. One more inhale. And as you exhale, come on back around through center. We're going all the way into the other direction. So coming into that twist, feel that length in the back of your neck and throat. Think about your chin parallel to the floor. One more inhale. And as you exhale, unwind yourself on back into center again. And all we're going to do is switch legs now. So take your time. Again, be mindful. If you don't want to cross or you need to cross lower, do. And then take your time to come a little bit forward if you can. Or even if you don't come forward, if you want to put your hand on your foot. Again, if you feel like you're cold, you can kind of create a little heat by rubbing your foot a little bit. Take your time. Feeling release in the hip. Good. So one more breath here. And then we'll come on back up to the top. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, let's twist all the way around to our left. And again, that right hand can be on your knee. It can be on your shin. You can let that back arm just come to where you're comfortable. And again, just be mindful. Feel that sense of the twist, releasing the spine a little bit. Whether you look towards the wall or maybe you feel like, well, I'd like to turn to look a little behind myself. One more breath. And on your exhale, move on back around through center, and we're going to go all the way into the other direction with that twist. So again, just enjoy waking up the spine now. Good. One more inhale. And as you exhale, come on back around into center, and let's come back into sitting. Now, if you were cross-legged before and do you remember which leg was in front, try to switch the cross of the legs. And then from here, let's just circle our torsos a little bit. Let yourself make these easy circles, keeping your back nice and long. So they can be small if it feels really good for you to come further and deeper into these, like coming farther forward and off to the side. Just let it feel really good. Releasing, easy to move with your breath. And then stop in reverse direction so you go the other direction with those circles. Now, the next time that you end up forward, let yourself stay there. You all on the floor can decide if you need to reposition your legs. Same thing in your chair. If you want to go wider, you can. You can keep your elbows above your knees in your chair. Obviously, on the floor, if you want to go farther out, farther forward, do. If you feel like you're better off to stretch your legs or to be cross-legged, just take your time. Let yourself feel your low back releasing a little more. Breathe. So one more breath. And then be mindful when you start to rise up. Just be easy as you come on up. And let's bring our legs on out in front of us. So stretch your legs out for a second. Move through your feet and your ankles by circling a little bit. You can do both the same direction, opposite. You can switch directions all the time if you want, or keep going a little bit and then switch when you're ready. Just be mindful. Take your time. Move around however feels good. And we're going to come on forward and around towards our hands and knees. And you know, if you don't want to be on your knees, don't be. Feel free to be up on the seat of a chair. Feel free to put a blanket under your hands or to come onto your fist if your hands feel, if your wrists feel a little iffy. And then just easily start to flow through your back with your breath. So take your time. Let yourself imagine your tailbone kind of leading the way. So the tailbone is the first thing that moves, and then just gradually bring your awareness up your spine, whether you're moving into cat or into cow. Finish off the one you're on or that you're moving into. And come back to a more neutral spine. And from here, just look over your right shoulder. And think about you're just looking back behind yourself, but your right shoulder is kind of coming closer to your right hip. And then come back into the center, look between your hands, and look over your left shoulder. Again, it's like your shoulder kind of reaches back a little more towards your hip, so you get into your side waist a little more. And then come back to center again and go back to the right side again, just letting yourself look back. And then come back to center and go looking over the left shoulder again. And then come on back into center. And we're going to step our left foot forward and our right foot back and come into lunge. So, take your time. Feel free to have your hands, whatever surface you like to use, whatever height of the blocks, or if you'd rather use the chair, or if you'd rather use the floor, fine. Reach into that inner heel, find that nice release through the back of the leg. Bring your body into that long line if you can. And we're going to switch legs. So coming to the other side, bringing that left foot back. Remember how long of a stance you take, doesn't matter. Just make sure that front knee is not bent any farther forward than your ankle there. And engage your belly. Zip up that low belly a little bit. Good. And let's switch legs again. So once you get that right foot back this time, if you feel like you want to bring your left hand or forearm up to your thigh, you can. So that you're a little bit more into your legs, into your hips. And then we'll bring our hands down. We're going to switch legs again. So again, making sure that front knee does not go out beyond your ankle. Take your time if you feel good enough to bring that left hand up or forearm up to your thigh. You can, it's not necessary. And then we'll bring our hands down. We're going to step forward and come into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Be really mindful. You're welcome to bring yourself hands to blocks. You can put your forearms above your knees there, your elbows above your knees to give you support, or you can go ahead and release fully forward as long as your back feels okay with that. So think about your sitting bones being over your heels. Whether your knees are bent or straighter, you don't want to lock your knees up though, so get really easy in your forward bend to allow the backs of the legs to just naturally open up from being forward with your torso. One more nice full deep breath. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips. We're going to press into our feet and rise up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our hearts, finding our mountain pose. So adjust how you need to. You know that. Adjust your stance. Let yourself get comfortable. If you need to, look what your feet do, right? So that you feel really good about where your feet are underneath you, right? And then bring your gaze on out as though you're looking at the horizon. And let yourself enjoy finding that sense of looking way out. So you almost feel like you're in that empty open field, right? And there's nothing around you. You're just almost being held up by the air around you. And you find that sense of finding the spot for your head where it's really easy. It is like your head is floating up there on top of your spine. And as we let our arms unfold right on down beside us, we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend our knees and come on forward into standing forward bend. On your next inhale, find a nice long flat back there, whether your hands are on your chair or your legs or your blocks. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. So press the feet gently away from each other here now. Really let yourself enjoy coming into that lunge. Good. And make your way now into downward facing dog pose. So you know your down dog is yours. Where you like to be with your hands, that just depends on your shoulders. Hands on blocks or chair or down onto the floor. But find that length of your spine here now. Hug your elbows gently towards each other. Let yourself feel the backs of the legs. If you like to walk a little bit, go ahead and bend one knee at a time. That sometimes will allow the backs of the legs to more easily open up. Good. And on the next inhale, we'll come out towards a plank. So, you know you don't have to do a full plank. You can do a forearm plank. You can do a half plank with your knees down. Find that core strength there. If you like to bend your elbows, you can too. If you really like to come into a half push-up or a full push-up, go for it. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. Feel your hands on the surface they're on. And let yourself reach equally back through your sitting bones. And we'll bring the right foot forward from here to come into lunge, however you need to get there. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Be mindful if you know you're ready to hold your elbows, go for it. Or if you like to put your hands down onto blocks or to the floor. And just enjoy easy breaths. See if you can stay with your breath all the way through, watching your inhales all the way through that little pause, watching your exhales all the way out. And then we'll let our hands come on back up to our hips, press into our feet, rise up to standing, and inhale our arms out and up overhead. Let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands up through the midline, and then bring your hands behind your head clasped. Press the back of your head just gently into your hands. Not harshly, just gently so you feel what happens in your belly when you do that. Make sure you don't automatically tuck your tailbone forward. Feel the tailbone reaching back towards between your heels there. One more breath. And now try to really keep that same feeling in your core as you let your arms start to stretch overhead into a wide V. So turn the palms to face each other. Turn the pinkies a little more inward. Good. And then from there, lower your right arm down. Reach up through the left side of the body. Come over a little bit to the side. Really feel your left foot pressing down into the floor. And then we're going to switch. We're just going to lower that left arm down, bring the right arm up, and come into that side stretch there. Breathing into that side. We're going to switch again. So just let yourself come on up. It almost feels like windmill arms. Let yourself come all the way into feeling the breath into the left side of the body. And then one more time, we'll just switch. So coming on up with that right arm, breathing into the right side. And then coming back to that wide open V with your arms. If you need to bring the arms forward, do, right? No, don't force anything in your shoulders. One more breath. And then bend your knees and come on forward into standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find that long, flat back. And this time we'll step the left foot back and come into lunge. Draw your shoulders down, press your feet away from each other. And we're going to come into downward facing dog pose from here. So reaching back into your down dog. Take your time. Really imagine what your spine looks like right now. Let yourself feel that sense of space in the spine. And on the next inhale, come on out towards that plank again. And again, it is totally up to you. You can do push-ups if you like. You can stay in your plank. You can do forearm or half plank with your knees down. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. And let's bring our left foot forward this time to find lunge. And press your feet away from each other. Feel how that engages your belly and your low back. Feel that really enjoy finding the length of your spine as well. And we'll step forward again, coming back into standing forward bend. And again, let yourself go. If you like to hold your elbows, go for it. Only you know how your back feels, and using support is great in this pose. So go for where you can be, but feel that sense of release in your back and in the backs of your legs. Feeling the ribs expand when you breathe in. Really enjoy that expansion of the ribs on your inhales. And let your face go. Let your face relax. And then we're going to bend our knees and bring our hands to our hips and rise straight back up to standing. Inhaling our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands right back up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings as you bend the knees and come forward into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that flat back. And this time we're going to walk into down dog. So you put your hands on whatever height you like to be. Making your way back now. Letting yourself just find that down dog where you're able to be. And on your next inhale, come on out towards plank. It is optional to do a back bend here. You can come down and do a sphinx pose on your forearms. You can come into a cobra or an up dog. You don't have to do a back bend at all. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. Walk your dog a little bit if you like. Move around. You might even want to wag your tail a little bit. And then when you're ready, come on back out again towards that plank. And again, it is optional to come into a back bend here. You can go into an up dog or cobra or not. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. Good. And this time let's bring our right foot forward to find that lunge, however you need to get there. And then we'll step back all the way into standing forward bend again. So just release, go right to your breath. If you can let your head nod or shake a little bit, do, so that you can find, again, trying to just release into the weight of your head. And then feel your feet on the floor equally. Let yourself just watch your breath. Good. So one more nice full deep breath. And we are going to bring our hands right back up to our hips, press into our feet, and come on up. We'll inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And as we exhale, let our hands come down. Let yourself feel the top of the head floating upward towards the ceiling, coming into mountain pose. Perhaps feeling a little more energy now flowing through the body, feeling more awake, really. And then we'll go ahead and release our arms on down beside us and shake out, move around a little bit, whatever feels good. And let's turn our chairs around if we're using them. Have your blocks handy by the front of your mat, and we're going to step our right foot back to warrior one. So as you come to the front of the mat a little bit, and then you bring that right foot back, remember You can be like you're on narrow railroad tracks rather than be like on a tightrope, right? So as you draw your shoulders around, you want to feel that openness here in the front of your right hip. But you don't want any kind of stressful feeling in that back knee or the hip or the ankle, right? So bend that left knee a little bit, look at it, and then for a second, bring your hands behind you and see if you can just kind of rest your arms up on your low back, right? So your hands might cross a little bit. Let yourself feel really open across your chest. Feel the shoulders squared around to the front of the mat. And feel already how your belly works in this pose, right? Because in order to protect your back, you can't just let your belly hang out. You're zipping up, really, pubic bone to belly button, right? And then go ahead and release your arms down beside you. Let's inhale the arms up into that wide V. Turn your pinkies towards each other a little more. Let yourself maybe bring your gaze up a little higher. Feel energy all the way out through your fingertips. So spread your fingers out and really feel like you're reaching up through the fingertips here now. And one more breath. Inhaling up the front of the body, exhaling down the back of your body. And then bring your gaze on forward. Release your arms on down beside you here now. We're going to make one big arm circle. Inhaling the arms forward and up. And then as far back behind you as you can, keeping the belly working there. And then we'll reverse that circle. We're going to inhale back. And then come up and over the top. And bring the arms on forward and down. Good. And then from here, we're going to straighten that left knee out. We're going to turn our feet and come into our wide-legged forward bend. So you know if you like your blocks, get your blocks underneath your hands before you come down, and then take your time. Adjust the width of your stance, but bending a knee at a time if that helps you, so that you can let yourself release a little bit more. But don't do it if it hurts your knees, and you all know that. So be mindful, ease your way. And then when you're ready to come back to center, bend both your knees for a second and press your feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. Imagine your inner thighs melting their way behind you. Good. And then, whether you want your knees bent or straight, set yourself up to stay in the pose. And that might mean you like to use your blocks underneath your forearms or your head or your hands. Right? If you need to keep your back long, blocks stacked up can really be a good way to do that so that the back stays long. You're still getting such great benefit from this pose. So whether you're supported or you let your hands come down to the floor, just enjoy those nice, easy breaths now. See if you can feel the ribs expanding as you inhale. Good. One more full deep breath. And then to rise up, be really mindful. Take your time. You know you can bring your feet closer together if you need to before you come up. And bring your feet on together. Walk around a little bit if you need to through your feet and your ankles. And we're going to do the other side. So all you do is step forward again towards the front of your mat. This time the left foot is the one that steps back. So for that front-facing warrior, you really, again, want to be comfortable in your back foot. So in other words, we're all different. A wider stance might be better for you. A different angle for the back foot. Feel this openness here in the front of your left hip. And this time, let your hands just come to meet in front of your chest. And see if you can just let yourself bring your gaze on forward and out. And feel very balanced now between your right and your left, even though you're very asymmetrical, right? Feel balanced. Let yourself feel the core of the body. Even press the feet a little away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat. Feel how your hips and your belly kind of fire up a little bit. Good. And then let's inhale the hands this time up a little higher than our head. Clasp your hands, send your pointer finger up. And you can bend your elbows more, hug them a little bit inward, and maybe even lift them up a little higher. So if you like your elbows to come up higher, do. And if you extend your arms up, you like to do that, you may decide, well, I want to extend them, but they have to be forward of my face, right? Or maybe you want to have the arms right by your ears. This is totally up to you and your shoulders. Let yourself be where you can. Feel that lift up through the front of the body. A release down the back of your body. So imagine inhaling up the front of the body and exhaling down the back. Like you're encircled by this big breath, right? And then we're going to look forward again. Bring our arms on down beside us. We're going to do that one big circle again. Forward at first, and up and overhead. And if you can, reach behind yourself too. And then we're going to reverse that circle again, reaching back and up overhead. And then releasing forward and arms on down. And we're going to turn sideways again on our mat. And again, separate your feet as wide as you like. If you like your blocks, bring your blocks on forward. And take your time. Adjust your stance. If you need to, move again a little bit, bending a knee at a time, do it. Get that sense of the feet being as parallel as you can. Good, and then let's move over to the right. Whether you walk your blocks a little to the right, or maybe you like to walk over with your hands to hold on to the outside of your right foot, but try to keep your legs equal. So if they're straight, let them both be straight. If they're bent, let them be equally bent. So you're trying to stay really equally into the legs there. And then come back through center, and we'll go the other side. So again, doesn't matter how far you go. You can be up on your blocks, kind of in front of your foot, or you can be over towards it. And again, try to keep your legs equal. Good, and then we'll come on back into center again. And now, see if you can just bend your knees a little bit and put your elbows right above your knees to support your back and lengthen out. All right, so you're really coming into a nice long back. And it's a squat. Good. One more breath there. And then you decide here. Again, you can stack blocks up. I know some of you really like to just go ahead and put your hands between your feet and come with the top of the head towards the ground. That is not for everybody's back, right? Remember, blocks can be handy for lots of things. For your hands, for your head, for your forearms. But just find where you're able to be so that you're not feeling stressed, right? You obviously have got to be engaged in your legs and your hips. But see if you can really let go of the upper body. If moving your head around a little bit helps, you can, obviously. Let yourself feel that sense of the breath coming in and going out. Good. One more breath. And then be mindful before you come up. If you need to bring your feet more together first, do. Let yourself help yourself up as you need to. And then walk around a little bit. Again, move through your feet and your ankles. Take your time. Let yourself, if you need to stretch your feet out, do. And let's come into Warrior 2 this time. So you might want to have your chair turned still this way. Bring your right foot back. Have your blocks handy. And we'll come into Warrior 2, bending that left knee, getting our heels in about the same line, and finding that sense of the right angle for the back foot. And then take your time. Start to reach your arms on up and out, flex your hands for a second. Let yourself really feel the undersides of your arms. And then let your fingertips face down for a second. So there you are now, more in the tops of your arms. And then go ahead and let the palms face down. Reach out through your fingertips here now. Press the feet gently away from each other. Imagine your outer left hip dropping down a little more, lining up that front knee. And then we'll turn the left palm up. We're going to inhale, reach up into our reverse warrior. So you can bring the hands straight up. It can be forward, or it can be back behind you. One more breath. And on the exhale, come into your side angle where you bring your hand or your forearm to your thigh or your chair, right? And you can decide here. You're keeping the body long. You can keep your right hand down on your hip. You can swing the arm up in front of the body and come into that long line of the right arm being in line with the right side of your body. Or again, if your shoulder bothers you, just keep the hand down. Think about that length through your spine there. One more breath. We're going to come on back into Warrior Two. Let the feet press gently away from each other, which makes it easier to get back up into the pose. And now put your right hand on your hip, straighten your left leg out, and we're going to bring the left hand down and find triangle. So triangle pose. Very similar, really, to side angle, except both legs are straight this time. Thighs are lifting up towards the hips. You can have your hand on your chair, on the back or the seat, or you can use a block or your leg. You can add the right arm straight up from your shoulder if you want. So if you want that top arm to be up, let the palm face that long edge of your mat there in front of you. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to bend the left knee. We're going to come on back to Warrior Two again, pressing those feet away from each other. And let's let our hands come down, because we're going to come back to find lunge. So come on with your hands to your blocks or to the chair, whatever you want to do as far as how high you are coming into your lunge there. And then we'll add that twist of left hand to the left hip and rolling that shoulder up, coming into your twist, whether you keep your hand down, finding that levelness right here where you have your hand there on your low back, or stretch your arm up if you want to. That depends on your shoulder. So one more breath here. And then come on back down with your hand, and we're going to step forward and come on into standing forward bend. Releasing, bend your knees as much as you need. Let yourself, feel a release for your hips and your back. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips, press into our feet. Come on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands on down, finding mountain pose here. So enjoy. Feel equal through your feet. If you need to sway a little bit, you can always sway side to side or front to back a little bit. Sometimes that gets you easier into feeling centered, right? One more breath in your mountain pose. And then we'll go ahead and let our arms come on down, shake out a little bit. And we're going to come to the other side. So we're going to step the left foot back this time for Warrior Two. So again, as you line up your heels and you bend that front knee and you get it aligned over the center of the foot, you really want to be mindful about how you feel in that back foot too. And then we'll float those arms on up and flex your hands for a second. Look at the back of your right hand there. And let the fingertips then face down so you feel more of the tops of your arms. Try to release your shoulders down away from your ears. And then come on into reaching out through the fingertips. And don't forget to feel that left hand reaching just as much back as you're reaching the right one forward, right? Feeling open across your chest and your upper back. We're going to turn that right palm up now and inhale, reach up towards the sky, breathing into the right side there of the body. Doesn't matter how far up you go. Remember, the arm can be forward or you can be up or back a little bit. And on your exhale, come into your side angle where you put your hand either on your chair or your thigh. You can go to the forearm on your chair or your thigh. You can keep your left hand right there down on your hip. Or you can rise that arm up into line with the left side of the body. So remember, it's not about how low you go. It's about finding that length out over that front leg. Good. One more breath. Yes, we're going to come on back to warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other. And now let your left hand just come to your left hip, straighten your right leg out, and we're going to bring the right hand down for triangle. So again, you can be up as high as you want. It's not about making your torso go forward and your hips shift back. It's about coming out over that front leg, and your hand can be on your chair or your leg or a block. And you can decide if you want to lift the left arm up or not. It doesn't have to come up. It can come straight up from your shoulder, or it can be down on your hip. Your thighs are lifting up towards the hips. Good. One more breath. And then bend that front knee again. Rise back up to warrior two. If you press the feet away from each other, it's easier to get there. And we're going to let our hands come down. We're going to come into that lunge. So remember, you can use your chair, the back or the seat. You can go down to your blocks if you want to, or to the floor. Really get into your lunge there. And then we'll bring our right hand on up to our hip, onto our low back. Palm down and roll that shoulder up. And then take your time. Lengthen out through the top of your head. And you can stretch your arm up if your shoulder lets you, remember. So one more breath here. Feel that length, that twist in the middle of the back, and then we'll come on back down with our hand. And we're going to step forward again and get our feet right underneath us. And see if you can bend your knees a little deeper, shift your weight a little more to your heels. You can put your elbows above your knees if you want. You know, or you can have your hands out on your blocks, or you can have them down to the floor. Just one more breath here. And then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips, press into our feet, rise on up, and inhale our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then let's just bring our right arm on top of our left. Give yourself a hug here. Let yourself find a good place to hold where your elbows can melt down. And then just let your head tilt a little bit one way and then the other. And be mindful, if you feel like you'd rather roll, like your chin down towards your chest, and roll to one side, by all means do that. Whatever feels good for your neck. And then come back into center so you can look forward again. And you can stay right here, or you can decide to let go of your shoulders and send the backs of your hands towards each other. You don't have to do a full eagle wrap. You can slide the back of your left hand to the outside of your right elbow. And that a half one's a good one, because you can push your hand into your elbow and your elbow back into your hand. You can do the full wrap if you choose. Good. Now bend your knees just a little bit. We're not going to do a real chair pose. We're just going to press into our feet gently. And then try to release between the shoulder blades on our back. And then let yourself release the arms on down beside you. And we're going to just bring the other arm on top. So bringing that left arm on top. And again, finding a way to hug yourself there that feels good. And again, if you can feel the head wanting to move around, kind of let your head do what it wants. If you feel tightness somewhere that you want to stay there, then by all means stay there. And then come on back, if you can, to bring your gaze forward. And if you can let go of your shoulders there, if you like the half, all you need to do is slide the back of that right hand right to the outside of your left elbow. And you can just press them into each other a little bit, engaging your shoulders. Or you can stay hugging, or you can send the backs of the hands towards each other, do your full eagle arms wrap. Shift your weight a little more to your heels, bend your knees a little bit. Let yourself just enjoy feeling the legs just a little bit. Opening up between the shoulder blades. Good. And then we're going to release our arms on down and let yourself just swing your arms around a little bit. And then start to separate your feet and swing your arms this way. So they wrap around you a little bit. So when you shift and go to your right, you kind of shift to that leg. And the back leg kind of follows you around so that you don't feel any kind of torque in your knees or anything. It's not, don't do it if it feels uncomfortable in your knees. Kind of adjust. Enjoy that swinging motion of your arms. Good. And then we'll come on back in the center. Shake out just a little bit. And let's go ahead and leave our mats. But pick up a block and walk to a wall. Let yourself just come to the wall and bring your block between your left foot and the wall. So your left hand is at the wall. And put your block to its lowest height. And you might want it out about a foot from the wall because you're going to put your left foot up on that block, right? And then all you're going to do is press into that foot and lift your right foot up off the floor, right? And then all you're going to do is put the right foot right back down. And you're going to push into the foot on the block again and come up again. So you're going to really engage, obviously. If you do a few of these, it won't take long. You'll really start to feel that sense of, wow, I'm really strengthening my quad here on that left leg. So you can do a few of those. Let yourself, if you did maybe 10 of these every day, on both sides, of course. Think about how you feel. So finish off, bring yourself on back down to stand on your right foot. And for a second now, just cross your left ankle above your right knee, that figure 4. And bend your right knee and come forward a little bit. Just release that hip or that leg we were just working so hard on, right? So just come a little bit forward. Let your hip shift back, your body come forward. Good, and then come up and put your left foot back down to the floor. You want to have your foot pretty close to that left block. And this time we're going to cross our right thigh over our left and put our right toes on the block. You're going to bend your left knee a little bit, coming in towards a little eagle, right? So you can decide, as you come here and you squeeze your thighs towards each other, you might want to keep your hand on the wall. You might be okay to bring your hands to your heart. You may decide, wow, that's too much, period, to bend my knee. You can stay up tall. You don't have to bend your knee. If you do bend your knee and you send your hips back a little bit and your torso forward, it's a little bit easier, all right? So, some of you might want to wrap your left arm on top of your right and do your eagle arms. So while your legs are wrapped, do the wrap of the arms too. And then come on back up. We're going to turn around. And remember, the first thing we're going to do is put our right foot on that block. So this is where you're going to press into the foot and lift the left foot off the floor and then come back down. So pressing into the block, letting yourself rise up and down, strengthening that supporting leg. Good. Finish off. And when you come back down to your left foot, cross your right ankle above your left knee so that inside leg crosses into that figure 4. The inside leg, the other leg. You got your left foot on the floor, right leg crosses. Good. And then shift your hips back a little bit. Bring your torso forward a little bit. Releasing that hip. There you go. One more breath here. And now you're going to come up and put your right foot there pretty close to the block. Remember, you're going to cross your left thigh over your right now. So now as you come in to bring in the toes on the block, if you don't feel good to bend the knee, don't do it. If you just stand here with that leg straight, I'm telling you, that in itself is going to get into the supporting right leg. If you do bend your knees and shift forward in towards eagle, your hips shift back, your torso can come forward. You're kind of squeezing your thighs towards each other, and maybe that'll enable you to want to let go of the wall. If you like to bring your right arm on top of your left, you can do also your eagle wrap with your arms. One more breath. And then let yourself rise on up. Let's turn to face the wall. And let yourself come onto your forearms. Walk back into a forward plank there for a second. So your elbows are just forward of your shoulders, and you're in a plank. So your body is flat at first, right? And then see if you can, when you're there, inhale, rise your heels up. And when you exhale, let your heels come back down. So you inhale, the heels float up. You exhale, they come back down. Just be really mindful. Let it feel good. And then the next time your heels come down, bend your knees a little bit and send your hips back a little bit. You don't have to go far. And I know some of you, it feels really good to slide your arms down the wall more and send your hips back. But don't do that if it doesn't feel good. So be really mindful. Take your time. Stay in the plank if you need, rather than going into that more of an angle at your shoulders. Good. One more breath. And then let yourself walk on back in towards the wall and turn around, so you turn your back to the wall. And bring your feet out maybe, 3, 4, 5, or 6 inches, maybe a little more. Really kind of depends on you. So you're going to bend your knees a little bit, and you're going to let yourself, just lean back into the wall. And don't force the back of your head to come to the wall, especially if that happens. So if you need to, just keep your head off the wall. That's fine. So from here, think about sending your hips forward, all right? Keep the back of your head on the wall. And then straighten your legs out, right? Now, when you do that, I'm still looking directly forward. I'm letting myself just come a little bit into a back bend, right? If it feels too much in your back, come back to the wall with your hips and bend your knees again and go closer to the wall. If you want more, come back, send your feet farther out from the wall, bend the knees, and then from there, shift the hips forward and then gradually straighten the legs up, right? And you're trying to just let your arms hang. So your arms are hanging. You're lifting here in the belly. You're feeling a lift right here. You're opening right here in the front of your hips. Good. So one more breath there. And then shift back again with your hips to the wall. Bend your knees. Start to come forward, right? You may just want to put your hands above your knees. You might decide, well, if I want my feet out farther, I can bring my elbows above my knees and it feels great. That's up to you, right? We're going to add a little twist here. Options are to bring your right arm kind of to lay across the top of your left knee and kind of to the outside, and then turn to look to your left. And you can put your left hand up on the wall if you want. Or some of you may want to go lower and bring your elbow to that left knee, right elbow to your left knee, and then bring your hands into prayer hands. So that's a deeper twist, right? Don't force it. Stay where you can. You can be up higher. One more breath. And then come on back into center, elbows above your knees. Take a break there. Feel your sitting bones there in the wall. So remember, this twist is in the middle of the back. When you come over with your arm or your elbow across to the outside of your knee, and whether you lift the right arm hand up towards the wall, you're still equal in your sit bones. Same thing if you come down to your elbow and bring your hands into prayer. So your knees are still equally bent. Your hips are equally into the wall. One more breath. And then come on back again, elbows above your knees. If it feels really good to you, you can stretch your legs long and fold forward over your legs with the wall supporting your hips. Now that doesn't feel good to everybody. If it doesn't feel like a relief, don't do it. You can just stay with the knees bent and stay with your elbows supporting you, right? if it does feel like a relief, feels like such a big relief. So one more breath. And now as you bend your knees a little bit, you're going to rise on up, back up, and walk your feet on back towards the wall as you come on up. And shake out. We're going to come back to our mats. And we're going to come down onto the floor, onto our bellies. So move your chair just out of the way. And just come on down. Let yourself release there onto your hands, making a little pillow. And rest your forehead. Bend your knees and let your feet wiggle around however you want. Right? Circle them. Side to side if you want. Windshield wiper blades. Good. And then come on back to letting your legs be underneath you again, onto the tops of your feet. And press into the top of your feet. Let your knees come up off the floor. All right? Engage your belly. Lift your head a little bit off your hands. And then see if you can reach your arms into a wide V. So the arms are reaching towards the corners of the mat. You can be on your fingertips. So you're up here with your head. Your fingertips are pressing down. If you want, you can use that to lift up a little higher. So you can bend your elbows a little bit, maybe press up a little higher with the upper body. It's like a little version of cobra, really. So one more breath. And then come on down, make that little pillow with your hands again. Bend your knees again. Let your feet move around, whatever feels good. Good. And then lower the feet on back down again, long legs. This time bring your arms down alongside your body. Turn your palms down towards the floor. And come to your fingertips again. And on your next inhale, this time float your head and your legs up. So now, when your hands float up too, there you are in locust, reaching fingertips and toes back towards the wall behind you. And we're going to release to come on back down. And from here, we're going to head towards pose of a child. Letting yourself come on back. Hips can be up in the air. Hips can travel back towards the heels. You know, it's up to you and your knees and your hips and your back. So remember, you're trying to find that relief for your low back and your hips, not forcing anything. Whether you keep your arms soft overhead or if you're back all the way, you might want to bring your arms back alongside your legs. Turn the palms up. So be easy, nice easy breaths. Good. One more breath. And then we'll bring our hands back by our knees, and we're going to come on up and bring our legs on around in front of us now. So take your time, bring your legs on out at first, move through your feet and your ankles, let it feel really good. And then bring the soles of the feet towards each other. Now they can be out really far. Remember, you can sit up on a blanket, you know. You can have your feet pretty far away from you. You can bring the feet closer in Baddha Konasana. Remember, too, you can also grab your blocks and support like this, so that if you feel like that helps you find a little more release in your hips rather than feeling like you're tensing, then use support so that you can feel like it's easier to sit up and you don't feel like you're tensing up into your hips when you sit up tall. You can put your hands behind you too and let yourself feel that chest is coming a little bit forward, right? Just a little bit, just so you feel open across your chest. And then release your hands. See if you can bring them on around. You can either have them on your shins or your ankles, and think of easing your way a little bit forward, even if it's only an inch, right? Even if you're like, okay, coming forward, not going to happen, try letting your feet maybe change a little bit in position. If you can't come even just a little bit forward, maybe try letting the feet come out further. And maybe that'll enable you to come into a forward motion of the low back. Good, so take your time, let it feel good. More breath. And then we're going to come on back up to the top. We're going to twist here. So take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, twist to your right. And you can bring that right hand kind of behind you, or it can be, you can twist just a little tiny bit is fine. To where you twist more out over that thigh, that inner thigh there, that right thigh. Just take your time. One more inhale. And as you exhale, come on back around through center and go into the other direction. Again, it doesn't need to be a deep twist. Good. One more inhale. And let your exhale bring you on back around into center. And let's bring our knees on up. You can use your hands to help you. Stretch your legs on out. And this time we're going to come down onto our backs on the floor. So, be easy. If you need to put your socks on or something before you come down, by all means do. Let yourself bring your knees into your chest. And let the knees circle if you can. So, if you can keep them fairly close together and just let the knees circle one direction. And then stop in reverse direction with those knees. And then come back into center and let your right hand be on your right knee, your left hand on your left knee, okay? And it's kind of like, almost like you're walking stairs. Let your right hand draw your right knee in towards you, and your left knee comes as far away as it can while your arm goes straight. And then all you do is switch. So you're actually bringing one knee in, using the hand to help you, and stretching the other one as far away as you can with the hand staying on it, right? So you actually feel movement in your shoulders, right? And in your hips, and in your back. It's like your knee is kind of pulling your shoulder, when it goes away from you, pulling your shoulder gently off the floor. If it hurts your shoulders, don't do it. And then finish off. And let yourself bring the knees in, send the feet up for a little happy baby. You can always send your hands around the outside of your thighs and put and it doesn't have to be a yoga pose. And maybe maybe something else entirely that you want to do. So take your time. I'll start to get the lights, and I'll eventually make my way around to bring stuff for support, but it is cold on the floor. So blankets, I have tons of blankets, both holstered, I have plenty of those. So with the idea of a bolster for underneath your knees, even if it's just your feet, you know, I can cover up just your feet, your legs. You want a bolster, ma'am? Mm-hmm. Got it. And remember too, if you feel like when you lie down flat, that your chin kind of lifts up a little bit. Okay, try that. Then a little bit of blanket underneath the back of your head can be really helpful. So let your arms and your legs find a comfortable place to be for your shoulders and your hips. If you need to move around a little bit to do that, do. And then just be with your own breath. Let yourself accept your breaths in and out. And when your mind wanders off into thinking, just keep softly coming back again to your breath, again and again and again. Finding those little quiet spaces. Giving yourself time to benefit from everything you just did. Just by allowing yourself to completely and fully relax. yourself to feel the ground underneath you, feeling the breath want to come in and go out more deeply and fully. Those deeper breaths gradually bring you back into wanting to move. If you can let your extremities lead you, fingers, toes, hands, feet, arms and legs. When you're ready to move, take your time. Do what your body naturally wants to do to come back into moving again. You know you're welcome to stay there on your back, to roll to either your right or your left side. If that feels good to you, to stay in a soft fetal position on your side, do. Be mindful, take your time. If you're still down, feel cradled by the ground, just enjoy that sense of support. And be easy when you do feel ready to rise up so that you can let yourself have your eyes closed and get seated to how it's comfortable for you. Letting your hands come to a place too that feels really good for your shoulders. You might even want to let your palms turn up so that you can feel that openness across your chest. You're receiving your breaths now in and out. And on your next exhale, just softly letting the hands come to meet right there in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Happy